I caught my sister with my friend's husband, so I gave her 1 week to fix everything. Everything started with a simple mistake, a forgotten scarf. I wasn't planning on going back to the restaurant that day, but something inside told me to return. When I walked in, I didn't expect to see my sister Rachel seated in a corner booth, laughing way too intimately with a man I instantly recognized. It was Nathan, my best friend's husband. My heart dropped, and I froze in place. They didn't see me. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and took a photo. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to make sure I wasn't imagining things. I watched them for a few minutes, the way her hand grazed his, how he tucked her hair behind her ear. It wasn't a business meeting, that much was clear. I left quietly, my scarf long forgotten, and sat in my car, trying to breathe. My first instinct was to call Jessica, my best friend, and Nathan's wife, but I couldn't, not yet. I needed to understand what I had just seen. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe I could give Rachel the benefit of the doubt. So I waited until she got home that night and asked casually, "Did you have lunch with anyone today?" Her eyes twitched, just slightly. A blink too long. "No," she replied, way too quickly. Why? That was it. Confirmation. The lie hit me harder than the truth. She didn't know I'd seen her, and that gave me time. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started watching, collecting pieces, one at a time. Over the next few days, I followed her. I became someone I didn't recognize, obsessed with catching her red-handed. I hated it, but I couldn't stop. What I found broke me. Hotel bookings under fake names, messages I screenshotted from her unlocked laptop, and worst of all, a gift bag with a necklace engraved "Forever Yours." She had planned everything. She wasn't some victim of love. She was a calculated betrayer, and Nathan, he was no better. But I didn't plan to explode. I didn't want drama. I wanted precision. I wanted justice. So I gave her 1 week. 1 week to tell the truth, 1 week to confess everything to Jessica. I told her this while we stood on the balcony of our shared apartment, just the two of us, cold wind slicing between us like a blade. She laughed, nervously at first, then with venom. "You wouldn't," she said. "You'd ruin 2 families." I didn't answer, I just stared at her. Let her sit in that silence. Let the weight of her decisions crush her, she begged, not right away. But the next night when I got home from work, she was crying at the kitchen table. "Please," she whispered. "It was a mistake. I was lonely. You don't know what I've been through." I didn't respond. I slid a folded sheet of paper toward her, a printed photo of her and Nathan, laughing in that booth, her hand on his. "You had 7 months." I said. "Now you have 6 days." Rachel became a ghost in our home. She hardly ate, barely spoke. I didn't feel bad. She had done this to herself. But what I didn't expect was for Jessica to show up at my door 3 days early. She looked pale, exhausted. "Can I talk to you?" she asked. My heart dropped. Had Rachel already told her? But no, she hadn't. Jessica had no idea. She was there because she had a gut feeling, because Nathan had changed. I invited her in, heart pounding. She sat on my couch, hands clasped, and whispered, "Do you think Nathan's cheating on me?" It felt like a punch to the stomach. The guilt hit me like a tsunami, but I couldn't do it, not yet. I told her, "Why do you ask?" She said he'd been distant, secretive, late-night calls, deleted messages, all the usual signs. I nodded, keeping my voice calm. "Maybe you should ask him directly." Jessica sighed. "He'll just lie." She stood up and gave me a quick hug. "I don't know why I came here. I guess I just needed someone I trust." And just like that, she left. My stomach churned with guilt and anger. Rachel had 3 more days. If she didn't confess by then, I would, and if she did, I wasn't going to stop her. I was going to be there, watching every second of the chaos she created. The next morning, Rachel was gone. No note, no call. Just her keys on the counter and her bedroom door wide open. I didn't panic, not at first. I assumed she needed space, but by nightfall, she still hadn't returned. I texted her, nothing, called her, straight to voicemail. For someone who had promised to confess, her disappearing act felt like a coward's escape. But I underestimated her again. The following evening, I received a message from Jessica, a photo. My hands trembled as I opened it. It was Nathan, standing outside our building, my building. Jessica's message followed. Why is he there? My blood ran cold. Rachel hadn't run. She had escalated. She had invited him over, probably to spin some desperate story. I rushed home, heart racing, hoping I wasn't too late. I walked into the apartment just in time to hear them arguing in the kitchen. "You said she didn't know," Nathan hissed. "You promised." Rachel was sobbing. She gave me a week. I had to say something. I stepped in, and both of them froze. I looked directly at Nathan. She didn't tell her yet, but I will. Right now, he turned pale, stumbling back. "Please," he said, voice cracking, "don't ruin everything." I had never seen a man unravel that fast. Nathan dropped into a chair, head in his hands. I have kids, he muttered. Jessica, she'll leave me. I'll lose them. Rachel reached out to touch his shoulder, but he pulled away. The illusion had shattered. He was scared now, not in love. I said nothing. I pulled out my phone and began typing. What are you doing? Rachel asked, panicked. Texting Jessica, I replied calmly. The moment those words left my mouth, Rachel lunged toward me. Please, I'll do it. I'll tell her, just give me one more night. She screamed. Her desperation wasn't for Jessica, it was for herself. I agreed, but not for her. I wanted Jessica to hear it from Rachel's lips. I wanted her to see what kind of sister she truly had. Tomorrow morning, I said, if you don't do it by 10 a.m., I will. No more chances. That night was eerily silent. Rachel didn't eat. She stayed in her room with the door shut, but I could hear her pacing for hours. I didn't sleep either. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, waiting for the storm I knew was coming. At exactly 9:58 a.m., she walked out, pale and shaking, clutching her phone. She looked at me once, nodded, and stepped outside. 10 minutes later, she returned in tears. She knows, Rachel whispered. I told her everything. I nodded without a word. She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. She's leaving him. She said she never wants to see me again. I stood there, unmoved. You still don't get it, I said. This wasn't just about Nathan. It was about trust, about family. You broke that beyond repair. Rachel collapsed on the couch and cried harder than I'd ever seen her. Jessica called me that afternoon. Her voice was hollow. Thank you, she said, for telling me, even if it wasn't from you. I apologized not for Rachel, but for how long I waited. I kept hoping she'd do the right thing, I explained. But now you know what she's capable of. Jessica sighed. I'm moving out today. He's not even fighting it. That tells me everything I need to know. We were both quiet for a long moment. Rachel moved out 2 days later. We didn't speak during that time. She left a note on the table when she finally packed her things and said, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I hope one day I'll earn it. I'm sorry for everything. I threw it away without reading the rest. The damage was done. Forgiveness may come eventually, but trust, that was gone, possibly forever. I wasn't sure if I even wanted it back. In the weeks that followed, I helped Jessica through her separation. We leaned on each other in unexpected ways. Two women hurt by the same man and betrayed by the same person. We weren't just friends now. We were survivors of someone else's selfishness. And slowly, the pain started to dull. Jessica found a new place. I repainted my apartment. Bit by bit, we reclaimed our lives. Not as they were, but as they could be. Rachel texted me once, about a month later. I miss you. I stared at it for a long time. No reply, not yet. Some wounds need time, and some never really heal. I didn't hate her, but I didn't trust her either, and that made all the difference. Nathan, meanwhile, tried to contact Jessica, but she blocked him everywhere. He even showed up at her work once, begging her to talk. She had him escorted out. She was done. I started journaling again. Writing helped me process everything. The lies, the betrayal, the complicated grief of losing a sister I thought I knew. There was no justice in what happened, just consequences. Consequences that cut deep. I also started therapy. It was Jessica's suggestion, and one of the best decisions I've made. For once, I was focusing on myself, not cleaning up someone else's mess. 6 months later, Rachel reached out again. This time, it was different. She had entered counseling, was living on her own, working 2 jobs. She didn't ask for anything. She just said she was trying, that she still regretted everything, and that if I ever wanted to talk, she'd be there. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete the message either. It didn't feel like manipulation. It felt like growth, late, but real. Jessica and I took a trip together that summer, just a road trip up the coast. For the first time in a long while, we laughed freely. We sang in the car, stayed in strange motels, tried food we couldn't pronounce. It wasn't a cure, but it was healing. We didn't talk about Nathan or Rachel much. We didn't need to. We both knew the past would always be part of us, but it didn't own us anymore. Eventually, Jessica started dating again, slowly, carefully. She was wiser now, not jaded, just more cautious about who she let close. I admired her strength. Me, I was still figuring things out, but I had clarity. I knew what I wouldn't tolerate anymore. Betrayal had taught me that. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who cause the deepest wounds, and healing from them is its own kind of battle. One evening, nearly a year after it all began, I ran into Rachel by chance, at a bookstore of all places. She looked different, older somehow, quieter. We talked briefly. She didn't beg, didn't guilt trip. She just said she was glad to see me, and that she hoped I was okay. And I was. I truly was. That moment felt like closure, not a reunion, not a forgiveness, just a quiet understanding between two people who had lived through something irreversible. I left the store with a book in hand and a strange sense of peace. Life isn't always fair. People aren't always kind, but you survive, you grow, you set boundaries, and eventually you learn to let go, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Because holding on to pain doesn't make you stronger. Letting it go does. And that's what I was doing, one step at a time. So if you're listening to this and you've been betrayed by a friend, a partner, even family, know this. It's not your fault. You didn't deserve it. And it's okay to walk away, even from people you once loved, especially from them. You don't need to carry their guilt. You have the right to heal, to be happy, and to rebuild your life on your terms. Just like I did.